More than just a campy superhero series, the Batman television series of the 1960s was a cultural phenomenon that blended outrageous theatrics, memorable catchphrases, and oddball adversaries. From the hilarious yet enduring Biff to Cesar Romero's refusal to shave his mustache. Wow, zap! Nevertheless, this iteration of Gotham was simply remarkable. Behind the masks and capes were odd tales, inventive shortcuts, and unanticipated scandals that are rarely reported. Why were Penguin's scripts so distinctive? Why did seatbelts become so popular? And what became of the turntable in the Batmobile? These are only a handful of the strange, unknown mysteries the Batcave conceals. Join us as we uncover hidden Batman tidbits that will astound even the most devoted fans. The origins of Batman. When ABC executives re-examined the original Batman comic books, they were impressed by the campy comedy and exaggerated scenarios. Initially, the series was supposed to be a slick, modern criminal drama with serious tones, similar to the successful spy series The Man from U.N.C.L.E. This caused the tone to change completely. The show eschewed a realistic crime narrative, favoring a festival pop art aesthetic full of outrageous pranks, humor, and vibrant images. This choice was strategic as well as creative. The series' distinctive campy aesthetic set it apart from other crime series. It was a risk, but audiences soon accepted its ridiculousness, so it was worthwhile. To reinforce its whimsical style, the show also added sound effects like bam and kapow, and frequently referenced comic book aesthetics. Ride in style. The Batmobile was a character as much as a vehicle. It was intended to convey an air of invention and flair appropriate for the Caped Crusader and was based on the futuristic Lincoln Futura concept car. In just 3 weeks, custom car designer George Barris converted the Futura into the Batmobile, adding features like a Batphone, a jet exhaust, and a bat-shaped snout. The Batmobile is one of the most recognizable automobiles in television history, thanks to its on-screen appearance. The original automobile was so popular with fans that it was in high demand. Its legendary fame was reflected in the astounding $4.2 million it brought at auction in 2013. Beyond its monetary worth, the Batmobile captivated generations of enthusiasts, and reproductions of it can be seen at car events and conventions worldwide. A different duo. It was essential to cast the ideal Batman and Robin. Producers organized the lengthy tryouts to locate people who could play the comic book heroes. The chemistry between Adam West, Burt Ward, Lyle Waggoner, and Peter Dale is glaringly different in the screen tests. While Ward's young vigor made Robin unforgettable, West's unmistakable charm and wit made Batman unforgettable. Despite losing the part, Waggoner became a television star in Wonder Woman as Steve Trevor. Audiences were captivated by the comical and heroic interplay that West and Ward developed together. The series' core was their on-screen chemistry, demonstrating the importance of casting the perfect pair for the show's success. Historically poor test screenings. It's difficult to believe now, but Batman's first pilot episode almost ended the show before it even started. In his autobiography, Adam West claims that the show received some of the lowest test screening results. Producers tried several modifications to save the show, such as introducing a laugh track and narration. Nevertheless, the ratings were not raised by the modifications. Still, ABC took a bet and gave the show the go-ahead, hoping the viewers would enjoy its distinctive camp aesthetic. It became an immediate hit when Batman was released, and their bet paid off. The pilot's difficulties serve as a reminder of how brave choices and tenacity can elevate an underdog project to the status of a cultural phenomenon. The movie. Batman, the movie, which came out in 1966, marked a turning point in the series, with an all-star cast of the show's most recognizable villains, including Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, and Cesar Romero as the Joker. It was the first full-length movie rendition of the character. Due to scheduling issues, Julie Newmar could not repeat her role as Catwoman. Nonetheless, Lee Merriweather took over and made a lasting impression. With absurd devices like shark-repellent bat spray and wild schemes to dehydrate world leaders, the movie heightened the campy aspects of the franchise. The film, which debuted soon after the program's first season, solidified Batman's status in popular culture and laid the groundwork for the series' long-lasting legacy. Unequal pay. The Batman movie has its share of controversy behind the glamour and sparkle. Adam West, the show's star, was paid a lot, but Burt Ward, who portrayed Robin, only got $350 a week, a pittance even in the 1960s. Later, Ward expressed annoyance at the discrepancy between his workload and pay. Without receiving extra compensation, he risked his physical health by performing several of his stunts. Despite the unfair treatment, Ward stayed dedicated to the position, giving a performance that has endured. Although the wage disparity draws attention to the injustices frequently experienced by supporting actors, his commitment and rapport with West became a pillar of the series' success. A little help. At the time of the show's premiere, the Batman comics were a dynamic creature, and the series unexpectedly impacted how they developed. The producers chose Alfred, Batman's dependable butler, to appear in the television version. But only months earlier, Alfred had been wiped off in the comics. Given the significance of the character, DC Comics brought Alfred back to life to fit the series and maintain consistency across media. Although he acknowledged little prior knowledge of the Batman legend, Alan Napier, who played Alfred, swiftly established himself in the character and contributed a sophisticated and trustworthy presence to the program. This interaction between the comics and the TV show showed how one medium might influence another. This dynamic is still present in contemporary adaptations. Villainous angles. Batman's antagonists altered the camera angles and stole the scenes. The show employed slanted or Dutch camera angles in sequences set in the antagonist's lairs to highlight their evil nature. This method created a sense of confusion and discomfort by providing the viewer with a visual clue. Every villain's lair, from the Joker's cave with a carnival motif to the Penguin's bird-themed refuge, was painstakingly created to represent their individuality. These creative decisions enhanced the show's visual aesthetic, making it unique in television history. The skewed perspectives become so recognizable that they are still mentioned and made fun of in contemporary media. Clowning around. With more appearances than any other antagonists, the Joker and the Penguin were undoubtedly the series' most memorable villains. Burgess Meredith's Penguin wiggled his way into fans' hearts with his distinctive squawk, while Cesar Romero's Joker enthralled audiences with his theatrical chuckle and painted-over mustache. Their regular appearances highlighted the popularity, allowing them to create complex narratives that engaged audiences. Specifically, Romero's Joker became a cultural icon and established the norm for the subsequent depictions of the clown prince of crime. A laughing matter. The Joker was famously portrayed by Cesar Romero, whose characteristic laugh came to represent the persona. When Romero saw his outrageous costume for the first time, the chuckle came naturally and wasn't premeditated. It's interesting to note that there were rumors that Frank Sinatra was interested in playing the Joker. Even if it's challenging to picture old Blue Eyes in the role, the idea of Sinatra as a campy villain gives Batman mythology an intriguing what-if. Romero's portrayal of the Joker is still regarded as one of the most renowned because of his charm and humorous menace. Meow. Because each actress had a unique style for the character, Catwoman's portrayal in the Batman television series from the 1960s is still recognizable. Julie Newmar made the role the quintessential Catwoman of the first few seasons by giving her a sensual and playful energy. After Eartha Kitt's appearance in the third season, Catwoman gained a new level of intensity, and her distinctive snarl became a defining characteristic of the character. Meanwhile, Lee Merriweather assumed charge of the 1966 movie, fusing style with slyness. Interestingly, the series didn't explain the actress's changes, so viewers were left to make assumptions. Notwithstanding their differences, the three women helped to establish Catwoman as one of Batman's most enduring enemies, leaving a legacy that permeates all iterations of the character. Eartha Kitt helped break barriers. One of the first African-American women to play a significant role in a primetime TV show, Eartha Kitt's casting as Catwoman was revolutionary. Kitt's performance dispelled prejudices in the racially tense 1960s and demonstrated that diversity could flourish in popular entertainment. Her ferocious manner and purring voice enthralled audiences and served as an inspiration for upcoming artists. Kitt's portrayal of Catwoman was bold and iconic, and Halle Berry, who played the role in 2004, publicly acknowledged Kitt as her inspiration. Although Kitt's groundbreaking career wasn't without its difficulties, she was criticized by some. Her influence on Hollywood was indisputable. She demonstrated how superheroes and their enemies might reflect and impact cultural change in addition to serving as fictitious conflict figures. A bird of a different feather. If Spencer Tracy or Mickey Rooney had been cast, the Penguin might have had a drastically different appearance. Tracy had an even crazier condition. He wanted the Penguin to kill Batman. Rooney allegedly declined, saying the role was too ludicrous. Such a dramatic twist would have drastically changed the show's tone. Fortunately, the creators chose Burgess Meredith, whose nuanced yet eccentric performance gave the Penguin his signature appeal. Thanks to his stylish attire, distinctive giggle, and witty one-liners, Meredith became a beloved figure. Fun fact, Meredith claimed that the role's theatricality, which let him ham up his performance without inhibition, was his favorite part of it. Quack, quack. Inadvertently, Burgess Meredith's past had an impact on his famous portrayal of the Penguin. Meredith, a lifetime smoker who stopped years before the movie was shot, gave the Penguin's speech a smoky, raspy tone. Because he had to stifle his coughing while filming, his chuckle or quackle became a defining feature. Interestingly, the Penguin's elegant appearance, which included his top hat and monocle, was intended to represent a distorted reflection of high society, a great contrast to Batman's austere righteousness. In addition to winning over fans, the Penguin's exaggerated chuckle and waddling gait solidified his status as one of the most unique antagonists in the Batman universe. The Bat Gadgets. The Bat Gadgets, which combined craziness and inventiveness, were as iconic as the characters in the Batman television series of the 1960s. These devices, such as the bulletproof Bat Shield, Bat Shark Repellent, and Batcopter, frequently served as the deus ex machina to rescue the day. Their campy attractiveness is enhanced because many of these props were made on a shoestring. For example, adaptations made fun of the Bat Shark Repellent following Batman since it became so notorious. It's interesting to note that enthusiasts had conjectured that the devices also alluded to the 1960s preoccupation with space travel when futuristic technology was very popular. These devices remain nostalgic memories of the series' humorous take on superhero narratives, leaving little to the imagination. The outfits from the Batman series in the 1960s were a central talking point because of their tight fit and vivid colors. The form-fitting shape of Adam West's Batman outfit attracted notice and caused controversy at the time. According to reports, the National League of Decency voiced concerns about the possibility of indecency. As a result, wardrobe designers had to devise inventive ways to respond, such as adding more padding and layering techniques. The outfits, which reflected the series' campy, exaggerated tone, became legendary despite the criticism. In stark contrast to the darker, armored batsuits shown in more recent adaptations, they are now praised for their vintage appeal. Climbing to the stars. The moments in which Batman and Robin used their bat ropes to scale a skyscraper were among the most popular recurring gags in the Batman series. These scenes served as a stage for celebrity cameos and weren't merely for show. Celebrities like Santa Claus, Jerry Lewis, and Sammy Davis Jr. appeared in windows during these episodes. These incidents gave the show a humorous and unexpected element that kept viewers interested. The camera was tilted to create the climbing illusion behind the scenes, and the performers imitated climbing movements while horizontally positioned props, such as buildings, were used. Riddle Me This. Frank Gorshin received an Emmy nomination for his portrayal of the Riddler because it was so powerful. Gorshin, well known for his wild laugh and dramatic body language, gave the part a vitality that turned the Riddler from a supporting antagonist into a memorable figure. Future depictions of the Riddler were likewise impacted by Gorshin's version, with his love of puzzles and riddles emerging as the defining characteristic. It's interesting to note that Gorshin's chuckle was spontaneous during his audition and was so well received by the creators that it was incorporated into the character. Because of his commitment to the part, the Riddler became as popular with fans as Batman's more well-known enemies. Another Riddler. During Season 2, John Astin played the part of the Riddler for 2 episodes since Frank Gorshin could not reprise it. Astin, most recognized for playing Gomez Addams in The Addams Family, gave the role a new vitality. Astin's rendition of Riddler tended more toward a sly comedy and theatricality than Gorshin's, which was erratic and manic. Even though his performance was brief, it demonstrates the character's adaptability and how other performers could give the part their unique twist. Both actors undoubtedly impacted the series. However, fans continue to argue over which version is better. 3 Mr. Freezes. 3 actors, George Sanders, Otto Preminger, and Eli Wallach, play Mr. Freeze, who may not have been the most well-known antagonist in the Batman series. Preminger's performance was extravagant and showy, while Sanders added an extraordinary refinement. Conversely, Wallach highlighted the character's brutal side. All 3 actors kept the character's distinctive appearance, including his recognizable freeze ray, despite their variations in performance. Even though Mr. Freeze only appeared in 6 episodes, his terrifying persona made an effect, and his tragic past was further developed in subsequent adaptations. New faces. It was a calculated decision to introduce Batgirl to the Batman series during its 3rd season to revitalize the program and draw on a broader audience, especially young girls. As Commissioner Gordon's daughter, Barbara Gordon, Yvonne Craig, who played the caped heroine, added charm and a distinct edge. Her dynamic collaboration with Batman and Robin gave the series a new direction. Interestingly, Batgirl's motorcycle, complete with a purple and yellow motif, symbolizes her persona. Even though the intended spin-off was never made, Craig's performance made a lasting impression and opened the door for more female superheroes in movies. Fun fact, Craig demonstrated her real-life ballet skills by performing many stunts. Even though the show was eventually canceled, Batgirl inspired many teenage viewers in the late 1960s and symbolized empowerment. Holy boy wonder, Batman! Robin's oddball remarks, which began with holy and ended with Batman, came to define the campy humor of the program. Robin made 352 exclamations during the series, ranging from witty to downright ridiculous. Holy uncanny photographic mental processes, Batman, is one of the most memorable quotes. Furthermore, holy cow, many of these were made on the fly, which gave the show's dialogue more spontaneity, as Burt Ward, who played Robin, later disclosed. These facial expressions frequently reflected Robin's surprise, awe, or recognition of a story twist. They weren't merely filler. In addition to being funny, the remarks reinforced the dynamic duo's close connection by giving the audience a sense of kinship. Fans still quote these lines to honor the series' distinct appeal decades later, making them a sentimental part of Batman history. Adam West. One of the many professional chances accompanying Adam West's renowned depiction of Batman was an opportunity to play James Bond in the 1969 movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service. However, West declined because he thought a British actor should always portray Bond. Due to this choice, Australian actor George Lazenby became the first non-British James Bond. West's career path was also influenced by his devotion to the Batman character, since he stayed intimately associated with the character for the remainder of his life. Although some could consider this to be typecasting, West proudly and humorously embraced his Batman heritage. He eventually gained a permanent position in pop culture history due to his devotion to the role and earned the affection of admirers worldwide. Batcave Problems. A marvel of 1960s television creativity was the dramatic picture of the Batmobile speeding out of the Batcave. The scene, filmed at the Bronson Caves in the Hollywood Hills, needed deft manipulation to look flawless. Because the Batmobile was too big for the actual entry, the filmmakers filmed the scene slowly with undercrank cameras and sped it up in post-production to create the appearance of a quick escape. This method enhanced the Batmobile's reputation as a cutting-edge crime-fighting vehicle while resolving logistical problems. The Batmobile's futuristic appearance was further enhanced by the fact that it was a significantly modified 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car. These modest but clever fixes added to the show's allure and showed how savvy television production was in the 1960s. Commercials and PSAs. In addition to fighting crime on television, Batman appeared in ads and PSAs that helped him become more well-known outside of Gotham. One particularly famous scene is when Batman and Robin assist Chief O'Hara in cleaning his hands in a lava soap opera. In the meanwhile, Alfred Pennyworth charmingly sponsored toothpaste. Public service announcements from the broadcast were equally notable. In one, Batman encouraged children to purchase American savings stamps, supporting patriotic initiatives during the Vietnam War. Children were also urged to practice road safety. These appearances demonstrated the characters' wider cultural influence, which used their fame to advance practical causes. The PSAs and advertisements demonstrated Batman's adaptability as a cultural hero by skillfully fusing civic duty with amusement in a way that appealed to viewers of all ages. Don't try this at home. Unexpectedly, the show's success led to kids copying Batman's stunts. There are multiple reports of children in the UK jumping from heights because they think they can fly like the Caped Crusader. Concerned by these developments, Adam West and Burt Ward produced a PSA informing the audience that neither they nor their Batman could fly. In the UK, the PSA, which played before the episodes, combined the show's signature humor with a serious tone. The song Holy Broken Bones by Burt Ward added a humorous touch applied while conveying an important safety message. This proactive measure highlighted the show's need to influence its younger viewers. The PSA ensured viewers knew the difference between TV fiction and actual repercussions, even though the stunts were still an exciting aspect of the show. What might have been? Fans clung to the notion that another network might pick up Batman when ABC canceled it in 1968. After learning that the intricate sets, including the Batcave, had been destroyed, NBC withdrew their promise to revive the series. Assuming that no network would pick up the show, the decision was made to remove the sets. This miscalculation crushed fans' hopes of seeing the dynamic duo resume their escapades. It was devastating to lose the sets, which were an essential component of the show's aesthetic appeal. The sitcom might have had a new lease on life and possibly expanded its cultural significance if NBC had purchased it. The incident ranks among the most significant what-ifs in television history, leading viewers to speculate about what may have happened in Batman's next episode. Another movie, 50 years later. The memory of the original Batman series was nostalgically recreated decades after it concluded. Adam West, Julie Newmar, and Burt Ward reteamed in 2016 to provide the voices of their beloved characters in the animated movie Batman: Return of the Caped Crusaders. The film introduced the series to a new generation while recapturing its campy appeal. In addition to West, Ward, and Newmar, William Shatner voiced Harvey Dent in the follow-up Batman vs. Two-Face a year later. These movies, which combined humor, action, and nostalgia, were a sincere homage to the series from the 1960s. It was a treat for fans to see the original actors return to their parts after many years. Batman vs. Two-Face was a heartbreaking farewell to the adored Caped Crusader because it was Adam West's last appearance as Batman before his death. Only one regular left. Burt Ward is the last living regular from the Batman series from the 1960s, as most of the core actors died off over time. Yvonne Craig, Batgirl, and Alan Napier, Alfred, departed us earlier, but Adam West, who made Batman come to life, died in 2017. Ward has continued the tradition by regularly attending conventions and gatherings to honor the show's popularity. Highlights of his post-Batman life include his work with animal rescue organizations, which he credits to his character's altruistic spirit. Ward's commitment to maintaining the series' essence guarantees that it will always be a treasured aspect of television history. Some legacies never go away, as seen by his appearances and storylines, which immerse fans in the vibrant Gotham environment as envisioned in the 1960s. Still alive in syndication. The appeal of the original Batman series persists through syndication, even though it stopped more than 50 years ago. Fans of the Caped Crusader, both young and old, may now enjoy its campy genius thanks to networks like MeTV and IFC, who have introduced its colorful escapades to new audiences. The show's accessibility has also been maintained by streaming services and DVD collections, guaranteeing its place in the annals of popular culture. Even when contemporary Batman depictions adopt darker themes, the series' humor, fantastical villains, and extravagant technology continue to impact. Many people view Batman from the 1960s as representing a more straightforward and light-hearted time in superhero history. Its capacity to make viewers of all ages grin and feel nostalgic demonstrates how timeless Adam West, Burt Ward, and their adventures in Gotham City are. Riddle Me This. The Riddler debuted in 1948 and was a minor villain in Batman's Rogues Gallery before the 1960s Batman series. Because of his famous performance, Frank Gorshin was nominated for an Emmy. In addition to making the Riddler a popular favorite, Gorshin's vivacious portrayal inspired his comic book Metamorphosis, which included the iconic green outfit with question marks. The smart business suit, now a mainstay of the character's costume, was introduced due to Gorshin's distaste for the initial skin-tight leotard. Additionally, because of the series' popularity, the Riddler became a staple of Batman's world, appearing in subsequent comics, TV shows, and even motion pictures. This change in popularity demonstrates how the Batman television series gave lesser-known villains a fresh lease on life and a loyal following. Zero to Villain. He was known as Mr. Zero, a much less menacing and distinctive moniker, before Batman introduced the cold nemesis, Mr. Freeze. He gained prominence because of the Batman series, which changed his nickname and reinterpreted the character's heartless demeanor. George Sanders, Otto Preminger, and Eli Wallach are the three actors who portray Mr. Freeze, turned into a terrifying foe of the Caped Crusader. His icy blue complexion and trademark Freeze rifle gave him a stunning appearance, and his tragic backstory, subsequently revealed in comics, brought depth. Arnold Schwarzenegger's extravagant interpretation of Batman and Robin guaranteed Freeze's cultural relevance, even though it may not have credited the character. The show's influence on the Batman mythos is demonstrated by the villain's transformation from a minor enemy to one of Batman's most lasting enemies. Gotham is based in St. Louis. You should reconsider your belief that Gotham City was a fantasy. A flipped map of St. Louis, Missouri inspired the enormous, giant lighted lucite map of Gotham City that appeared in multiple episodes. Fans with keen eyes may even see how well-integrated sites like Tower Grove Park and Forest Park are in the made-up metropolis. Gotham's comic book aura was preserved, while a subtle feeling of realism was added thanks to this inventive use of St. Louis geography. Interestingly, Pittsburgh, New York, and Chicago have all inspired Gotham in previous renditions. Nonetheless, the Batman series' association with St. Louis offers a distinct historical perspective, demonstrating how pragmatic and creative decisions collaborated to bring Gotham to life on television. The Shakespeare Bust had a function. The Shakespeare Bust, one of the most recognizable props from the Batman series, was more than just a funny set item. It served a proper function even if it didn't open the Batcave as depicted in the film. Stagehands were instructed to open the Batcave doors by a concealed button on the bust that illuminated a backstage light bulb. This inventiveness behind the scenes characterized the show's creation, as props frequently served as valuable instruments to heighten the appearance of Gotham's tech-savvy heroes. The Shakespeare figure is still revered by fans today as a representation of Batman's hidden identity, and copies are even for sale. The show's ability to blend imaginative storytelling with astute design, which makes even the slightest elements memorable, is demonstrated by its continuing appeal. Doing his stunts? Burt Ward's portrayal of Robin wasn't as dazzling as it first appeared. Burns, shrapnel wounds, and even being thrown out of the Batmobile during a fast spin when the door suddenly sprang out were among the many injuries the actor suffered while filming Batman. Worse, because the show's budget did not permit professional stunt doubles for every scene, Ward frequently conducted many of his stunts. Despite these difficulties, Ward's passion and commitment were evident, which contributed to Robin's popularity. He later joked that he would have received hazard pay for his time on set because of the job's physical toll on him, demonstrating that even superheroes in training face challenges in real life. Ward's tenacity adds another level of admiration for the dynamic duo's on-screen adventures. The Gray Ghost. Although a fictional hero inspired him, Adam West's Batman inspired generations. Batman, the animated series' 1992 episode, Beware the Gray Ghost, reveals that the title character is Bruce Wayne's childhood hero. The Gray Ghost, who West voices, is a heartfelt tribute to West's interpretation of Batman and the cultural heritage he left behind. The episode also looks at atonement, nostalgia, and the enduring influence of fictional and real heroes. Because of its insightful discussion of how childhood legends impact us and its sincere acknowledgement of West, fans of the cartoon series consider this episode to be among its most significant. This combination of ancient and contemporary Batman mythos aptly captures the timeless appeal of the Caped Crusader across decades. Hallowed Ground. In addition to creating an iconic Batcave, the Batman series constructed it on prestigious Hollywood property. The Batcave was located in a soundstage previously used for iconic movies like Gone with the Wind, 1939, and King Kong, 1933. The Batcave felt larger than life because the set touched on cinematic magic brought about by its rich history. Although the idea never came to pass, there are rumors that the filmmakers even considered asking Senator Robert Kennedy to appear as the guest attorney general. The show's fusion of Hollywood glitz, politics, and history demonstrates how intricately Batman was entwined with its cultural era. A revered component of Batman's lasting legacy, the Batcave is still one of the most recognizable superhero lairs, rich in imagination and history. The first crossover. Batman invented the concept of crossover events long before linked movie universes were commonplace. With Batman and Robin, Green Hornet stars Van Williams and Bruce Lee appeared as their characters in the first comic book adaptations. Fans of both shows were enthralled by this live-action collaboration, which demonstrated the possibilities of crossovers. Bruce Lee's reputation as a future legend was cemented when his martial arts prowess dazzled the cast and crew behind the scenes. In addition to increasing viewership, the crossover paved the way for further superhero media partnerships. This pioneering attempt at interwoven storytelling continues to be used decades later as a model for bringing beloved characters together in captivating and unforgettable ways. It's Her Party. Leslie Gore, a singer, showcased her skills in Batman by playing one of Catwoman's henchwomen, Pussycat, in 2 episodes. Gore created an unexpected romance storyline by acting as Robin's love interest in addition to her villainous persona. Her presence wasn't entirely accidental, as one of the show's producers was Gore's uncle, Howie Horwitz. Gore's musical popularity was deftly incorporated into the play, which used it as a promotional tool to draw in younger audiences. Despite the short lifespan of her character, Gore's appearance gave the series a pop culture feel. Her cameo serves as a reminder of how Batman skillfully combined comics, television, and music to produce a popular show with a broad audience. Penguin's Waddle. One of the most famous performances in the series was Burgess Meredith's portrayal of the Penguin, whose distinctive waddle-like gait became a distinguishing characteristic of the character. Interestingly, the character's original design did not have the waddle. Meredith created the movement because of the limitations of the bulky fat suit he wore while filming. Thanks to this improvisation, he stood apart among Batman's rogues, which gave the character an additional dimension of charm and fun. Meredith's portrayal established the benchmark for subsequent depictions of the Penguin, impacting comic book adaptations, animated films, and even Danny DeVito's hideous interpretation in Batman Returns. The Penguin's Waddle exemplifies how innovative on-set problem-solving may result in enduringly memorable character qualities. Cesar Romero was changed forever. In addition to a lasting impact on popular culture, Cesar Romero's portrayal of the Joker profoundly affected the actor. He painstakingly created the iconic Joker laugh for the part, becoming a hallmark sound utilized thousands of times throughout the series. Romero once joked about how this insane laugh changed his actual laugh forever, including his famous cackle into his innate sense of comedy. Interestingly, even in his latter years, colleagues and admirers would ask to hear the laugh, confirming its status as a significant aspect of his legacy. Romero's Joker went beyond the show, impacting subsequent depictions, and his laugh became a defining characteristic of the character, which was continued by actors such as Mark Hamill in animated versions. This laughing marked a lifetime for Romero and was both a blessing and a burden. Biff, Pow, Zap. The dramatic, vibrant text overlays that flashed across the screen during fight sequences were a defining feature of Batman combat scenes from the 1960s. Words like zap, pow, and boff, which mimic comic book panels, gave the combat scenes a light-hearted tone. The series utilized an astounding 832 overlays, including kapow, top of the list with 54 appearances, closely followed by boff and pow at 53 apiece. Many viewers may be unaware that the word choice was deliberately chosen to preserve the comic book authenticity, with each exclamation capturing the intensity of the action. These oddball visuals were so recognizable that they are still used in contemporary mainstream culture, from spoof comedies to music videos. The overlays strengthened the show's distinctive ability to combine humor with superhero drama, and they weren't just eye-catching graphics. Penguin scripts on standby. Fans and writers alike loved Burgess Meredith's portrayal of the Penguin so much that the producers went to great lengths to keep the character on screen. They created Penguin scripts that could be expedited any time Meredith was in Los Angeles because they knew of his hectic schedule. This tactic allowed the adored antagonist to appear more and establish himself as a series mainstay. Audiences were enthralled by Meredith's eccentric behaviors, such as his recognizable squawk, which came to represent the character. Outside of the program, Meredith's Penguin inspired several versions of the waddling enemy in subsequent adaptations. In addition to pleasing fans, the astute filmmaker's approach preserved the Penguin's reputation as one of Batman's most famous adversaries. Missed opportunities. Many Hollywood celebrities were drawn to the vibrant world of the Batman series in the 1960s. Not all celebrities' dreams, though, were realized. Other legends, like Cary Grant and Natalie Wood, desired roles but were never cast, despite Frank Sinatra's explicit desire to play the Joker. Many celebrities were disappointed by scheduling issues, artistic choices, and the overwhelming demand for guest slots. Despite these lost chances, the series had a stellar cast of A-list cameos, including Vincent Price as Egghead and Julie Newmar as Catwoman. The attraction of Gotham City was too strong to resist, and the show's cultural prestige ensured that celebrities continued to participate, solidifying its place as a pop culture phenomenon. Bat Buckle Up. When National Safety Council representatives asked why Batman and Robin didn't use seatbelts in the Batmobile, the creators devised a creative solution. A scene where the two wildly fastened their seatbelts before speeding out of the Batcave was inserted as a lighthearted gesture to safety. What began as a joke swiftly gained recognition for encouraging the usage of seatbelts at a time when these precautions were not commonly taken. This incident illustrated how the program combined comedy with messages about social responsibility. Even Gotham's heroes were conscious of public safety, as evidenced by the Batmobile scenes, which were already a series highlight. Survey says, a public survey was crucial in determining which comic character would receive a live-action TV version before Batman's debut. The Green Hornet, the Phantom, and Little Orphan Annie were all surpassed by Batman as the most eligible character. The Dark Knight became well known on television because Superman, who was already a successful character, was ineligible. This decision turned out to be a cultural turning point, and fans were captivated by Batman's distinct blend of adventure and camp. In addition to being a victory for Batman, the ruling established a precedent for fan-driven content that still shapes entertainment today and showed how public opinion can affect the media. A not-quite-working turntable. The famous turntable in the Batcave, which was used to rotate the Batmobile into place, appeared to be a marvel of 1960s television wizardry. The enormous platform wasn't automated at all. Instead, each scene involved 6 stagehands pushing the turntable into position by hand. The sequence was only filmed once, and the producers used the same material throughout the series to save money. The show became known for its behind-the-scenes creativity, with creative fixes like these preserving its fantastical appeal while lowering production costs. The automated turntable, which embodied the ingenious techniques that made Gotham City come to life, is still a treasured part of television history. The Season 4 that almost was. ABC considered a 4th season of Batman as the 3rd season ended. Budgetary restrictions, however, prompted extreme suggestions, such as eliminating Robin and Chief O'Hara and designating Batgirl as Batman's only companion. The producers and Adam West argued against the alterations, arguing that they compromised the show's core. These disputes ultimately played a part in the discontinuation of the series. Even though it ended abruptly, the show had a lasting impact on subsequent adaptations and demonstrated that superhero stories could be successfully adapted for television. The what-if scenario of a drastically changed 4th season is still fascinating in the show's history and inspires fan discussions. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na, Simpsons. Throughout the Simpsons' 3-decade run, the famous Batman theme tune has been played frequently, giving it a second life. Its most memorable appearance occurred in the Joy of Sect, which the character shouted "na-na-na-na-na-na" later in a funny manner. According to Simpsons executive producer Al Jean, Fox controlled the rights to the Batman theme music then, so they were free to use it. This peculiar feature bridges generations of admirers and emphasizes the song's timeless appeal. The Simpsons' use of the theme, which ranges from satire to reverence, confirms its status as one of the most identifiable musical melodies on television. The bizarre Bat insignia change. Adam West's costume constantly shifting bat emblem was one of Batman's most bizarre contradictions. As the show developed, a yellow oval was put around the essential black bat sign that appeared in early episodes. The discrepancy was a legal problem, as well as a production error. DC Comics had recently patented the yellow oval design, so the show had to change. However, West alternated between insignias from scene to scene in several episodes because the costume department didn't always keep track of the transition. Astute fans, particularly those who grew up watching reruns and observed the inexplicable back-and-forth logo alterations, were perplexed by this minor but significant detail. The hidden wardrobe malfunctions. Although Batman television series of the 1960s was renowned for its campy fun, the costumes were often a nightmare behind the scenes. Awkward retakes resulted from Adam West's cowl repeatedly slipping out of place, and the stunts usually caused Burt Ward's Robin tights to tear. Julie Newmar's Catwoman suit was the worst offender. It was so tight that she had to be sewed into it for every filming session, making it practically impossible to take bathroom breaks. In other cases, costume errors made it into the final edit, such as when West's cloak fell off in the middle of a fight or Ward's shoes split during action sequences. The actors continued despite these problems, making every scene appear natural. Alfred's double life. Although Batman fans are familiar with Alfred as Bruce Wayne's devoted butler, Alfred did much more than just bring tea in the 1960s series. Alfred, played by Alan Napier, surreptitiously accompanied Batman and Robin on missions, occasionally disguising himself as the Caped Crusader to trick adversaries. Indeed, Alfred disguised himself, played villains, and even used the Batcomputer in several episodes. Interestingly, despite his distinctive appearance, no one ever appeared to recognize him. As a result, Alfred became more than simply a supporting actor. He was essentially Batman's third sidekick. Later, Dark Knight adaptations hardly ever feature this aspect of the character. The Joker's mustache mystery. Fans have long noted a strange aspect of Cesar Romero's portrayal of the Joker, his mustache. Romero famously refused to shave his trademark facial hair, so the makeup artists had to apply white grease paint to cover it. The outcome? There's a mustache visible beneath all that clown makeup. Despite how evident it was on screen, the show never addressed it, which is odd. Stranger still, neither the cops nor the criminals ever brought it up. Romero's refusal to shave became a defining feature of his appearance, and instead of taking away from his performance, it only enhanced the Joker's wild, extravagant persona. The forgotten Batgirl Pilot. To persuade network officials that Yvonne Craig was worthy of being added to Batman, a separate Batgirl Pilot episode was filmed before her initial debut as Batgirl in Season 3. In this never-aired mini-episode, Batgirl fought alongside Batman and Robin against a villain dubbed Killer Moth, a character who never appeared in the final series. It's interesting to note that Craig's Batgirl, in this pilot, interacted with Batman more flirtatiously and had a somewhat different outfit. Despite being hidden for years, the video eventually came to light and demonstrated that Batgirl's debut was not a last-minute addition to save the program, but rather a well-thought-out plot. The show's connection to Star Trek. Not only did Batman and Star Trek share a 1960s television era, but they also shared actors, sets, and props. Backgrounds were occasionally reused because of the strong association between Star Trek's production crew and Batman's producer, William Dozier. The rock walls of the Batcave modeled Star Trek's distant planets, and both series featured cameos from Yvonne Craig, Batgirl, and Frank Gorshin, the Riddler. The unique flame effect of the Batmobile was even later utilized as starship thrusters in Star Trek. Behind-the-scenes crossovers is a playful homage to the period's constrained resources and inventiveness. Batman's surprising fashion statement. Batman's famed crime-fighting suit aside, Adam West's off-screen attire garnered attention. He famously said wearing a bright pink bathrobe between takes kept his Bat outfit tidy. West wasn't merely being pragmatic. The cast and crew got so familiar with his gaudy robe that it became an inside joke. A few of the guest stars requested pictures of West wearing it. It's a humorous contrast to Batman's solemn attitude, demonstrating that West had a fantastic sense of humor and wasn't overly serious. The Batmobile's hidden gadgets. Although fans adored the Batmobile's sleek appearance, did you realize some of its devices were fake? Even while the car had genuine custom modifications, many of its high-tech components were either added after the fact or were inoperable. The Batphone? It's just a regular phone with a red paint job. The flames from the exhaust? A propane tank is concealed. The car was allegedly twisted by a spinning bat-turn lever. However, this was merely a camera trick. Despite this, the Batmobile became one of the most identifiable vehicles on television and is still a cherished representation of the show's imaginative, extravagant aesthetic. The origin of the Batclimb gag. The Batclimb, in which Batman and Robin climb a building while conversing, was one of Batman's most well-known running jokes. The performers were walking on a level surface as the camera was angled sideways, which was a perfect camera trick. Small things were dropped to simulate gravity, and capes were pinned up to complete the illusion. The finest aspect? The windows. Sammy Davis Jr., Jerry Lewis, and even Bob Kane, the creator of Batman, made unexpected appearances by sticking their heads out of the windows. It was a straightforward but amusing touch that became a program hallmark. The secret behind the Batpoles. Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson miraculously changed into their heroic outfits each time they slid down the Batpoles. However, how did this operate? The trick? Adam West and Burt Ward could switch clothes during the descent thanks to quick change systems integrated into the set. Before they landed, costumers helped them dress in record time at a hidden changing facility accessible through a secret trapdoor. Despite seeming flawless on screen, these transitions were a logistical nightmare to film. The actors occasionally failed to follow their cues, which resulted in amusing blunders or delays. The villain that never was. Batman introduced scores of foes throughout the series, ranging from Egghead to the Riddler. But Two-Face, one of the planned villains, never appeared on screen. Despite his increasing popularity in the comics, he was considered too scary for the show's cheerful tone. It's interesting to note that renowned actor Clint Eastwood was reportedly considered for the part, but the plan was abandoned before gaining traction. Fans wonder what Two-Face might have looked like in the campy 1960s. Batman's explosive gadgets. During the Batman series of the 1960s, the Bat gadgets were entertaining and completely ridiculous. One of the most recognizable absurdities of the series is the Bat Shark Repellent Spray, which Batman famously utilized to ward off a shark in one of the more ridiculous episodes. However, viewers frequently failed to see that many of Batman's devices were made especially for unreal, extreme scenarios. Bat poison, unique bat hooks, and explosive bat bombs were all part of a larger-than-life arsenal of tools used to combat crime. It served as a reminder that, in Gotham, Batman could fix any situation, whether absurd, enormous, or strange. The secret origins of Batman's dance moves. Batman and Robin did more than battle terrible guys in Batman's campy, vibrant world. They also danced. During the notorious Batgirl entrance, the Bat Dance is a strange yet unforgettable moment from the performance. Playful dances frequently punctuated the Batman and Robin dynamic, particularly in sequences involving villains like the Joker and the Penguin. Many fans are unaware that a professional dance teacher who was engaged especially for the series devised these oddball techniques. The purpose of the dancing sequences was to lighten and provide fun to the dramatic action, making Batman and Robin appear more like Broadway actors than crime fighters. Batman's unexpected historical references. The sporadic use of historical allusions in Batman's plots was one of the show's more odd features. Batman frequently faced out against criminals who had some connection to actual historical occurrences. In one episode, for instance, the Penguin is part of a scheme to steal valuable artworks, a scheme that is reminiscent of art heists that occurred in the 1960s. The goal was to give an otherwise fantasy narrative a more grounded sense of reality. By fusing historical intrigue with crime fighting in unexpected ways, the show's makers used these allusions to craft deft crossovers between fiction and reality. The unexplained Bat gadgets. An almost infinite variety of devices were utilized to solve mysteries and vanquish adversaries in the Batman television series. Many of these Bat tools, however, were entirely unaccounted for. Batman would utilize the Bat Ray, a notorious laser weapon device, without ever disclosing how or why it operated. In a similar vein, Batman employed Bat gas to put villains to sleep. The physics behind these devices was never investigated in the Batman universe, which left fans perplexed and gave rise to numerous hypotheses about how they operated. However, the show never explained, so viewers were left to fill in the blanks. The constant Batphone Calls. The famous Batphone, a red, direct connection from Commissioner Gordon to the Batcave, was used by Batman and Robin to answer countless phone calls throughout the series. What's interesting, though, is how frequently the Batphone would ring at the most inconvenient and unpredictable moments. Batman and Robin always appeared close enough to hear the phone ringing from miles away, even though they were in the Batcave, which is highly safe and technologically sophisticated. The dynamic duo acted efficiently thanks to this incredible phone call arrangement, but many viewers were perplexed. Given the advanced technology they already possessed, was the Batphone necessary? The weird science of Batman's expensive technology. It's astounding how little information was provided regarding how Batman financed all his high-tech devices, even though he was shown as a billionaire with limitless means. Using specially designed Batmobiles, Batman pursues the Joker at great speed one moment, then analyzes evidence in real time with the Batcomputer the next. Specifically, the reasoning behind the Batcomputer appeared to be beyond rationality. Batman could retrieve incredibly detailed information about any criminal in a matter of seconds, but the device itself had a suspicious resemblance to a vast, cumbersome television set from the 1960s. However, no one appeared to doubt its potential, since viewers of the show were too preoccupied with the antics to be concerned about the actual world. Batgirl's feisty costumes. Fans were commenting over Yvonne Craig's costume when she debuted as Batgirl. Although the show's main characters continued to wear well-known outfits, Batgirl's was distinctly more futuristic, including bat-shaped batons and a sleek purple design. The noteworthy thing is how Batgirl's outfit changed from one episode to the next. The cowl would appear tighter in some moments and looser in others to make room for stunt work. Occasionally, the design might incorporate a modest change, such as an open collar, giving the otherwise timeless style a contemporary spin. These discrepancies were frequently dismissed in favor of the overall aesthetic of the costume. The outrageous costumes of the villains. The outrageous outfits the criminals donned were one of the elements that set Batman apart. Every villain had a distinctive look that made them readily identifiable, from Catwoman's skin-tight attire to the Joker's bright purple suit. However, certain villains, like the Riddler, seemed to go beyond campiness with their green leotards covered with question marks. Many of these costumes made the villains appear larger than life and ridiculously extravagant. For example, King Tut wore a headdress featuring a gigantic cobra as part of his Egyptian pharaoh attire. It was a daring fashion decision that went well with the series' absurd tone. The One-Liner King, Batman. While Batman is well known for his intense crime-fighting skills, how frequently he joked through the series is sometimes overlooked. Batman, played by Adam West, was a master of one-liners and often used them in tight situations with villains. His surprising humor and serious tone created the ideal comic effect. Batman says, "I'm sorry, Robin, I can't hear you over the sound of my brilliance," in one particularly famous incident. Even when Batman was facing death or serious injury, the ridiculousness of these jokes never seemed out of place. It was a feature that contributed to the show's campy, lighthearted vibe and increased Batman's fan appeal. Batman's unpredictable enemies. The enemies' unpredictable nature set Batman in the 1960s apart from other superhero series of the era. The program had a reputation for introducing characters entirely out of place, many of whom had strange abilities and ludicrous agendas. For instance, Batman and the evil Bookworm engaged in a literary-themed conflict. The Bookworm was a man who was concerned with rare books and literature. Egghead, another strange adversary, was a weapon and an egg maniac. While many of these villains were amusing alone, they didn't make sense in the context of Gotham's criminal underworld. Despite keeping viewers on their toes with its haphazard assortment of opponents, the show felt chaotic and enjoyable. The Batmobile's ever-changing features. Fans may easily recognize Batman's iconic Batmobile, but many were unaware of how frequently its characteristics shifted from one episode to the next. It would have more devices and gizmos added one moment, and then it would be elegant and efficient the next. The Batmobile seemed perfectly normal in some episodes, but it had a rocket booster on the back in others. The Batmobile's colors also appeared to change, going from black to vivid red and yellow. This ever-changing vehicle emphasized Batman's absurdist appeal, as whimsy frequently triumphed over reason. Batman's useless training. Batman and Robin frequently discussed their extensive expertise in various areas, which was one of the oddest aspects of the Batman series. The pair claimed to have developed multiple talents, from criminology to advanced martial arts. These abilities didn't appear to affect their actual methods of combating crime either. Instead, Batman and Robin frequently won using technology, luck, or the surprising antics of their adversaries. Since their heroics often depended on whimsy rather than deft fighting, the dynamic duo's years of rigorous training seemed primarily for show. The role of Batman's secret identity. The secret identity plays a vital role in the plot of many superhero shows. However, it frequently seemed laughably unimportant for Bruce Wayne to conceal his identity in Batman. Bruce would often give the bad guys clues that he was Batman, but nobody ever seemed to notice. The criminals would never connect the dots, even if he periodically revealed something linked to Batman's actions. This contributed to the program's campy humor and surreal atmosphere, where the enjoyable, extravagant fights with Gotham's crazy villains seemed to take precedence over keeping a secret identity. The ubiquitous sound effects. Batman's extravagant sound effects played before every battle sequence are among its most adored elements. The screen would animate the iconic pows, bangs, and wham whenever Batman kicked a foe or launched a punch. Strangely, these sound effects were frequently overdone to the point of ridiculousness rather than being merely used for dramatic effect. No matter how little, every move was accompanied by a loud, comic book-style sound effect, demonstrating a lack of self-control. This became a defining characteristic of the program, but the abuse of the method also contributed to the series' notoriously erratic and quirky tone. The Batcave's redundancies. Although Batman's Batcave was a subterranean hideout filled with advanced technology and weapons, many fans were unaware of how redundant some items were. Batman, for instance, would have several Batcomputers, Bat-radios, and Bat-gadgets, all of which were made with the same intent, but were never put to much use. These objects were crammed into the Batcave to give the appearance of technological prowess, although many served no practical purpose beyond eye-catching. It was an extravagant area that served more as a display of Batman's wealth and prestige than as a handy center for combating crime. Alfred's surprisingly active role. The devoted butler, Alfred Pennyworth, was in charge of Batman's requirements and the Batcave, and he also actively took part in several crime-fighting missions. Alfred was often a supporting character, but he also used the Bat-gadgets, gave guidance, and even went undercover in several episodes. Alfred demonstrated that he was more than a butler in one noteworthy incident when he disguised himself to enter a criminal organization. Alfred became a more active participant in the action, giving the series an additional layer of eccentricity when he unexpectedly joined Gotham's crime-fighting operations. Batman's bizarre battle cry. Before defeating an enemy in almost every Batman episode, the title character would make a strange, dramatic war cry. These moments were usually more humorous than inspirational, ranging from Batman's frequent exclamations of, "To the Batcave," to his exclamations of, "Up, up, and away," which ironically was also Superman's catchphrase. Batman's battle cry seems to have no practical function other than to give his heroic character a little more campiness. In contrast to the somber depictions of superheroes in the comic book industry, Batman, although the best detective in the world, frequently seems more concerned with showmanship than slyness. The constant disguised identities. Bruce Wayne and his companions frequently used strange disguises throughout Batman to sneak into the criminal underground. But these disguises were ludicrously ineffectual. Bruce Wayne's attempt to pass himself off as someone else by donning spectacles or an enormous false mustache is among the most well-known. The crooks constantly seemed to fall for these disguises, even though they were patently absurd. This contributed to the show's absurdist ethos, in which the fanciful enjoyment of Batman's fantastical world took precedence over reason. Instead of evoking any genuine sense of mystery, these disguises were frequently used for comedic effect. The weird car chases. Batman was renowned for his fast-paced pursuits, yet many were frequently illogical. Throughout Gotham's streets, for instance, the Batmobile would engage in crazy, winding automobile chases while avoiding significant traffic or environmental damage. The Batmobile's capabilities were considerably superior to any actual vehicle. The Batmobile's abilities became another entertaining, if implausible, aspect of the show's appeal, allowing it to hop over obstacles and make fast spins that defied physics. The ridiculousness of these vehicle chases contributed to the 1960s Batman's allure.